What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. Sitting across from me this week and every week, he's a fencer, he's a magician, he's a podcaster, but mostly, he's awesome. It's Dez.
Well, I'm not sure about the last one, but...
You know we have music playing, and it's so uplifting, and
Yay!
and then you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna be sad today.
Okay.
I'm gonna be sad.
I'm not sad.
This week and every week on Why We Love PlayStation.
And sitting across from me is Brian!
And this week and every week on Why We Love PlayStation VR, we dive into the PlayStation VR archives, the back catalog, the old games as they call them.
Yes.
And we pick one out at random, and then we talk about it and tell you whether you should or should not be wasting your time diving also back into said back catalog.
Yes.
What game did we dive into this week, Des?
Well, I'm going to take that tortured metaphor away from you, and we're just going to go straight into Crystal Rift.
Sweet. I love Crystal Rift.
You do? Oh,
Crystal Rift. She's a stripper, right?
Crystal Pepsi?
Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. Because I believe in me.
Christy Brinkley.
I believe in Christy Brinkley.
What is Crystal Rift?
Crystal Rift is, well, the easiest way to describe it is basically an old school, very old school dungeon crawler reimagined for VR.
Yeah.
End of review.
Well, and that is sort of how they advertise the game.
Yes.
Old school dungeon crawler. And if you don't know what that is, kids, like actual kids.
Well, let's educate you.
Back in the old days, there were these things called computers. and on them, we played games.
We had programs, not apps.
That's right. And some of those programs involved dungeon crawlers, and there were these games that you walked around by basically clicking arrows, and all of the action took place in a tiny square and like a quarter of the screen. They were okay.
Well, I mean, but they were also what we had then. You know, this is the time when, like, you think the PC versus console wars are bad now. Well, imagine when there was only PC or arcades. Like, those were your choices. But these were, like, kind of the best, like, gaming experiences you could have. You know, think your Doom, your Wolfenstein, things like that. Those are your dungeon crawler-based games where, you know, those were so radical because you could actually freely move instead of just chunk.
Yeah. But this game references the pre-Wolfenstein, the pre-Doom.
Yes, yeah.
These are games that you clicked a button, you'd move one space forward.
Right.
You click left, you turn left, and then you have to click forward and take one step forward. It was all grid-based. And Crystal Rift decided to keep the grid-based movement when they decided to make this game.
Yeah, so that's
Crystal Rift didn't make Crystal Rift. Cytec Games made Crystal Rift. Yeah. I should probably clarify. You might know their name because they also developed Windlands.
And the upcoming
Windlands 2.
Woohoo!
Oh, that was right.
Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be a game I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so that is in development. As I was doing research here, there was like, you know, they developed Windlands, and then it said, and Windlands 2. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not a thing yet.
Not yet.
It's going to be a thing, so you heard it here first.
Multiplayer, bows and arrows. Yeah, I did a breaking news report on it.
You heard it here second.
You heard it here probably like 8th. Polish Paul got to jump on us too.
Yeah, by the time this comes out, yeah.
Forever ago. But it's funny that like you couldn't find two VR games that were so different than Crystal Rift and Windlands.
I was honestly shocked because I played it first and then went back and like, are we sure?
Yeah.
You know, so like some good things. Here's the thing, you know, at this point, like a lot of you, I've been playing a lot of Skyrim.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. See, last week and the week before and the week before. But so as soon as I fired this up, like, wow, everything here looks really crisp. Like everything is in sharp focus and looks pretty great. You know, and I was of course comparing to Skyrim, where you know I'm playing on the OG. It's a little fuzzy. It's like, wow, this is going to be great. Then I realized, that's right, because the draw distance is literally 6 feet.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like 3 blocks away. It's about as far as you can see. 3 grid blocks.
So and so everything looks crisp. So the stuff that you have to look at is really sharp, but the problem is the stuff you have to look at isn't very interesting.
Yeah, and unfortunately that doesn't change much.
No.
There are a lot of levels in this game. There are 25 dungeons, and I will say, dungeon number 25 doesn't look a whole lot different than dungeon number 1.
Yeah.
And that becomes an issue, not even level to level. That becomes an issue like during big levels. Like when you hit a dungeon that requires the basic gameplay here, kids, is that you have to find crystals, different colored crystals, to open up different colored doors.
Right.
It's about as basic as it gets.
But you also have to find keys to open up doors.
You also have to find keys. You also have to switch levers. You also have to step on plates, sensitive floor plates.
And is there a functional difference between the crystals and the keys?
Not really. No. And so the thing is, it gets real confusing in these big levels because it all kind of looks the same. And so you're wandering around and you're like, oh, this is where I need to go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, this just looks like the other place you already were because it all uses the same textures.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because other than that, like the maze, the labyrinthine type levels, the puzzle solving, it kind of works.
Okay.
On a fundamental level.
Yeah. Here's my I don't know. So the first thing I thought when I started playing this is exactly, these are the kind of games I grew up on. This is exactly like a dungeon crawler sort of game from back then, which at first I was like, oh, this will be neat, a little nostalgia thing. But what they did was keep sort of the interface, I guess, and the graphical styling, which is fine, but they haven't learned the game design lessons we've learned in the last 30 years.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping like you would get a little taste of what it was like to play that, but with some of the creativity and thought that we have. We've as a community, we've learned a lot about what makes games interesting and fun, what makes puzzles interesting and fun. It seems like this is literally just a grid-based dungeon crawler from, let's say, 1991, just in VR.
Which luckily I enjoyed as well
Yeah.
back in 1991. And since VR makes everything better, Shazam.
Yeah. And here's where we have to get another interesting thing. I know some people are sick of hearing about this, but I think it's important to bring up because, you know what? I'm not the only one who gets motion sickness issues.
No.
I texted Brian this afternoon. I got the sickest, the fastest that I have in any VR experience playing this.
And it wasn't for a lack of trying, that's for sure.
No, and this is like, those of you who remember my Here They Lie experience, this is even worse than that. I was not even 5 minutes. I'm like, man, I need to do the comfort settings now. I put the comfort settings on, which we'll talk about in a moment what they are.
Oh yeah, we will.
And instantly it was even worse.
That's surprising.
I was just like, I went from, I'm feeling a little queasy to, no, I am done. The comfort settings, and here's the thing, guys, Winlands, great job.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you did any testing on anyone who actually has motion sickness because their comfort settings menus, one, shrinks the room.
Yeah.
Like it changes your perspective and makes everything like smaller, which for me made my brain freak the hell out.
Oh really?
Yeah, that did not help. And then second, they overlay geometric shapes kind of in,
It's like floating squares all through the environment.
but they stay stationary with your point of view while you move through the room, which from what I know about motion sickness is exactly the wrong thing to do.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, because you're getting double. Motion sickness comes from the confusion between your inner ear saying you're not moving to your eyes saying no, we're moving. Now your eyes are getting information like I'm not moving and I'm moving. So I was, yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that because one of the things that Windlands does is gives you like a hamster ball, like for a comfort setting.
Yeah.
And so it like throws the ball around you. It doesn't move or anything, but it's the same idea. It's like, hey, here's something stationary in the world.
Yeah.
That you're inside of a ball. It's sort of saying, hey, you're in a cockpit.
Right.
Right. And I think that's where they were going with this.
Yeah.
And I can see why it wouldn't work because there's no cockpit. It's just floating shapes.
Right. This fills your whole visual field. It's like an multi-dimensional overlay over what's actually happening there. It's, guys, did not work.
Yeah, it's a real shame because the deal is with this is that it's totally playable in 2D on a television in non-VR mode.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, let's get to that.
Yeah, okay.
Because here's the thing: is like if you want to play this game. And you also get motion sick, and you want to be like, well, maybe should I buy it? Shouldn't I? I don't know. What should I do? Don't buy it.
No,
don't buy it if you plan on as a backup playing it on your TV.
Yeah,
because oh man, did they forget to program the rest of that game?
Yeah. So here's the thing: it is a grid-based dungeon crawler, which means you're not going to like slowly move forward. Like when you click forward, you boom, are to the next step.
Right.
Why does that matter, Des? Well, because a lot of times you are walking along narrow paths and there's holes here and there.
A lot of holes.
A lot of holes. Which in
Spikes
VR...
at the bottom of holes.
Yeah. VR, no problem, because you can look down and say, oh, there's a hole there. In the non-VR, your view is stationary, set right to the middle of the screen.
Yeah, they didn't set this thing up like a first-person shooter where like the right stick like moves your vision around. You just look straight ahead, and it's really difficult to judge if that square, that big hole in front of you, is 1 block away or right in front of you. And so more often than not, I pushed forward and fell right into the damn hole.
And I found myself like, you have to keep memory of like, okay, 2 blocks away there's a hole, so I can, and you're trying to do this by memorizing the floor plans. It's not a great solution. So I mean, I understand, like, you guys made this for VR. That was your focus. I totally get that. Like, the fact that there is a non-VR component, thanks for that.
No. Like in this instance, and I'll probably never say this again, you're better off not even programming the non-VR mode.
Yeah, all right.
Because all it does is like take anything that is good about this game and just destroys it.
Yeah, it becomes incredibly frustrating, and like I probably get to like I think level 7 or 8, and I was like, you know what? Let me see how many levels are in this thing. I saw 25. Like, nope. Okay, we're. Yeah,
it was funny too because of course I played it today. You know, I got to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
And then, excuse me, I was like, the first thing I noticed, what you said, the graphics, I was like, wow, these graphics are actually super sharp and like really nice. And I was like, I forgot PlayStation VR could even look this nice.
Yep.
Of course, I'm playing on the Pro. I don't think that makes any difference at all here because it's just a sharp looking game.
Yeah,
no matter
really
what.
It definitely does. I wish like other developers would take the lesson from them or whatever little magic they did to make that work. It's great.
Well, we know the magic.
Yeah.
Use 2 textures and limit your view.
And no AI, so there's none of that going on.
Oh my god, yeah. The AI is like non-existent. All the enemies just walk back and forth on a path, and unless you intercept that path, and then they go, oh, we should come after you now.
Well, even at that though, there was multiple times like the skeleton is kind of a pretty ubiquitous. Skeleton's coming towards me. I run forward, hit, step back, and it just turns and walks away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
I'm sorry. Were you not entertained? Yeah.
It definitely feels like that. It definitely feels like they're totally unaware of combat being initiated.
Yeah.
That said, it's still a hard game.
It's incredibly hard
for so many reasons.
Yep.
Usually because it's hard to get away from the bad guys. Mm-hmm. I think the AI is unnecessary because if they actually chased after you, you'd be screwed.
Oh yeah.
Because if there's more than one in a room, just forget about it. Just get out of the room and like step back. You do have a sword. Having the sword is nice. You can. It's got a few different special modes.
Yeah, you can charge it up and have this extra big, slash a few times. There's another the goo, the slime.
You have the green slime that slows everything down if you attack with that,
which is kind of useful for some of the more challenging enemies.
And then there's a fire option as well, so you can turn your sword into a fire sword. You can hold down R2 instead of tapping it to swing, and you will basically throw a fireball with your sword.
Yeah,
it all works fine. But again, if you're in the middle of combat, if you're fighting something, what you tend to do is step backwards to give yourself some space.
Yeah.
And with said pits everywhere in said environment, you're bound to wind up in said pit.
Yeah.
And that's not. I'm not saying that in negative sense against the game. I'm just saying that like this is a type of gameplay that is, as you mentioned, outdated.
Yeah.
And if you want to get good at this, you kind of have to relearn how to play like these kind of old school hardcore games.
Yeah.
It's Demon Souls.
Yeah.
It's not Demon Souls.
Okay.
Or Dark Souls.
Dark Souls. Yeah, there we go.
Demon Souls was the first one.
Right. Here's like you kind of talked about how hard it was. I want to make a distinction which intuitively I think a lot of people realize, but I want to make it explicit here. Mm-hmm. Hard is not the same as challenging. A challenging game is fun. It rewards you. It feels like, yes, I mastered this thing. A hard game can just be hard and suck. because it's frustrating, because it's not well designed, because again, you're not playing in VR, so your vision is locked here and you actually can't see that there's holes below you. That's hard, not challenging. This is a hard game. And there's one last thing which I think could have saved this for us. Because here's the thing, the combat and the AI is kind of laughable, but there are situations like there's one level where these slime monsters are walking around.
Oh, yeah.
And there's 3 of them sort of walking in this pattern, and you have to figure out how you're going to because you can't kill them.
Right.
But if you touch them, you die. So you have to figure out, okay, how am I going to walk myself into this pattern and jump out? And it's like, oh, that's a puzzle game. If we got rid of the combat-y sort of stuff and made this a straight-up puzzle game, it could have been better. And actually, one of the ways you could do that is with the level editor. And you can make your own puzzles. And that sounds fantastic. You read the description, hey, in-game level editor sounds so great.
Yeah.
For the Oculus and the Vive.
Yeah, only the PC version has a level editor, and that sounds awesome, and yay for you guys, but boo for us.
Yeah,
but I'm going to totally disagree with you.
Okay,
I got a certain amount of satisfaction out of the combat. I
really okay.
Oh yeah, and as you know, everything in VR scares me. That's what I'm starting to learn. It's not that Des isn't scared of anything. It is that, don't get me wrong, but it's that we are just totally opposite of each other, and that everything in VR scares me. So this game, just the enemies alone showing up, scare me.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm gonna give you that one, because the thing is, yeah, the combat is so hard and it's so difficult to actually fight that when an enemy does show up, it's, oh crap, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, because you like, again, you got to make sure there's no pits behind you, so when you're backing up, you can swing and then retreat, swing and retreat. But also there are scares in this game. There are actual real scares. Now, I'm just going to call them 100% jump scares.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're programmed in,
yeah.
So just so you're walking along and everything seems fine, and then this thing will fly at your face,
yeah.
And in VR, that's really scary. Now, there's also like this little demon thing, like that's sort of translucent and has these red eyes, and he'll...
Where is that thing, by the way?
What do you mean?
Like, okay, we've got these really badly animated skeletons and other things like that are monsters. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Those are great. Like, make that an enemy.
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is that the entire time I'm playing this game, because the enemies can come out of nowhere, because there's this like little demon thing, and because you can actually turn off the jump scares if it's too much for you, I love it, because what it does for me is it keeps me on edge the entire time. I'm playing, and I'm like sitting forward, and I come up to, I'm moving square by square, and then suddenly I can't, and suddenly there's an opening in the hallway, and I'm like, and I have to do one of these. I have to be like, is it okay to move forward?
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm so tense playing a game that looks kind of like crap is mind blowing, right?
Okay.
It's just one of those things that I was like, this game, for me, is way more than a sum of its parts. Is that the expression?
Yeah.
Way more than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
So, I do have 2 negatives.
Okay.
Other than the things we've listed, the 2 things that bothered me the most.
Yep.
1, don't laugh at me. There's no map. There should be an auto map or an ability at least to cheat, right?
Yeah.
Be like, hey, put the difficulty all the way down to super duper easy. We just call it Brian mode. I don't care what you call it. You can make fun of me.
Right.
But I need an auto map, because I'm the dude that gets lost driving in a city he's familiar with. I'm the dude that gets lost in a game he's played before. And when a game that is explicitly meant to make you get lost, I'm like, I need a little assistance.
Yeah.
Guys. I'm not a maze person.
Okay.
I am a maze.
Ing.
Thank you. My other complaint is that there's no inventory. Now, that also sounds dumb, but when you're walking around collecting crystals, right? In some levels, there's like 5 different colored crystals, and I walk in and I see a door, and I'm like, oh, let me see if I can get to that door. It's the purple crystal. I'm pretty sure I picked that one up.
Yeah.
And then next thing I know, I'm like flipping all these switches and moving all these levers and stepping on plates so bridges will come up and moving, killing bad guys. And I get over to the purple door finally 20 minutes later, and oh, I forgot.
I don't have that.
I actually don't have the purple crystal. So if there was just like a floating HUD that was like, Brian, these are the crystals you already found.
Yep.
Like, I'm old, man. My memory's not as good as it used to be. Let's be fair. It was never good. These are things I need.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I think, one other thing I found, it does bill itself as a horror game, and there are jump scares there. The story, if there is one, and the
They keep claiming there is.
yeah, and it's kind of carried by these notes that you find all over the place.
Yeah.
And so horror comedy is absolutely a thing. Okay, Cabin in the Woods.
Sure.
Right there. Perfect. It can be really, really well done. Any of your Evil Dead movies, perfect. This game is maybe trying to do that.
I think so. There's a certain level of that.
But it's not going hard enough in either direction. They're not trying to be funny enough to be funny or scary enough to be scary. They're trying to do both at the same time, but not really doing either one well. And so it's like every once in a while you get like references to Grooves, which is, hey, that's going to make me happy. But then it's like, stuff that like notes that you would find if you're playing Amnesia, but it's just not a good mix of the two. You can do that. It takes a lot of skill to do that. And I don't know. I honestly think it would have been better without any of that. Just give me the dungeon crawler and the puzzles, and let me just go into that. I think them trying to set up a backstory, they don't go into it enough to actually make it worth it. If that makes sense. So,
I think this game should also have move support. Like, if there's one game ever
right?
that should have move support because of the way you interact, right? Because you just hit the button to move forward, it would make sense to hit a button to move one space forward. Click turning would make sense in this game.
Right.
Everything, it just seems, to be able to have control of that sword and to be able to throw the fireball.
Yeah.
It seems like a perfect fit. However, when it comes to scoring this game as we probably should right now.
Oh, sure, yes.
The game's was only $12.99 at launch. Now here's the thing. For so long, people were like, "We don't have any big meaty games for PlayStation VR. We don't have any long games. All these experiences, and everything's too expensive." And all these complaints were being lobbed at PlayStation VR. No one said the words Crystal Rift.
Yeah.
This game takes at least 8 hours to beat. And for a guy like me who gets lost constantly and can't figure out what crystals he's holding, it's more like a 10 or 11 hour game.
Yeah, I was shocked when I first sat down and started playing it because like I said, it's like 25 levels because I was expecting it to be, a half hour experience kind of thing. But no, there's a lot of game here. So, let's go through. So our categories are number 1. Oh my God, you need to buy this. This is the best thing on earth. If you have a PSVR, you have to buy this game. Number 2, it's okay. If it's on sale or you got some money burning your hole in your pocket, sure, why not? Pick it up. And 3 is no, absolutely not. Friends don't let friends buy crap. We do not need to reward these people.
This has a 37 on Metacritic.
I totally understand that.
Are you giving this game a 3?
I think this is going to be one of my very few 3s. There's a good foundation for a game, but a good foundation does not make a good game. I'm sorry, guys. Windlands is a piece of art. This is not.
I'm definitely giving this about as solid of a 2 as you can possibly give it. If this is your kind of game, if you like exploring mazes and getting lost and solving puzzles and figuring things out and minimal combat. There's an audience for this game. There's a very specific type of person that this game is designed for. And the fact that it's in VR means that I gave it a shot when I normally wouldn't have. But I found some appeal there. The jump scares worked. Keeping me on edge worked. Trying to figure out the puzzle solutions, even though I was running around in circles for way too long. It worked. And so it might not be the most well-designed game, but for the price tag and the fact that, again, it's been on sale multiple times. Yeah. That's why I'm giving this a 2. If you get it on sale for $6, $7, $8, something like that, I mean, you're gonna get as much out of it as you put into it. If you want to spend 8 hours in this game, there's probably 8 hours for you to play. Yeah, I will say if you do like it, there's a lot of game to it. So you're gonna be very happy. If you want a nostalgia trip, remember what it was like to play these games, back when you were in junior high or back when your parents were in junior high. Go download the Bard's Tale.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Keith the Thief. Remember Keith the Thief?
Oh my God,
so good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, I do get where you're coming from. I'm gonna stay on a 3 though. I just don't. Yeah.
Listen, I had to rate it a 2, otherwise we can't call this Why We Love Crystal Rift.
It's true. Why Brian loves Crystal Rift.
There we go. All right, you guys, that pretty much does it for another episode of Why We Love PlayStation VR. If there's a specific game that you want us to talk about, make sure you tell us which game that is in the comments. And if you happen to have played Crystal Rift, I can't imagine you haven't. Make sure you tell us about your experience of it in the comments.
Tell me I'm wrong. I would love to hear I'm wrong and why I should just change my attitude about this game.
You're wrong. Now rewatch the episode, and that's my answer. As always, I'm Brian Paul.
I'm Desra.
And we'll see you next week.